What sets apart those who achieve their goals from those who give up early? It's not a matter of luck, talent, or even sheer motivation. The secret lies in perseverance, the ability to keep going every single day, regardless of how you feel or what's happening around you. Let's be real. Consistency is tough. It's easy to start something with excitement, but sticking with it is where most people stumble. That's why you need to train yourself to stay consistent, especially on the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. Over the course of this journey, I will help you break through your excuses, overcome mental resistance, and build a mindset rooted in unshakable discipline. If you're truly ready to stop constantly starting over and finally commit to your goals once and for all, then let's get started now. Have you ever stopped to think about why some people succeed while others fail after just a few days? Do you think it's because they're smarter or more naturally gifted than you? Or perhaps because they're just lucky? The truth is, none of that matters. The real factor that determines success is one thing: consistency. And I'm not referring to the kind of enthusiasm that fades away after a week, when the initial excitement dies down. I'm talking about something far more enduring, quiet, persistent discipline. This kind of consistency doesn't rely on how you're feeling in the moment. It's about showing up and doing the work, even when you'd rather not. It's about having the inner strength to push forward when you're tired, when you're bored, or when the world seems to be pushing you back. This is the kind of consistency that forms the foundation of every lasting success. Think about the successful people you admire, the athletes, the artists, the entrepreneurs. Do you really think they wake up every day filled with passion, eager to take on the world? Of course not. They have tough days too, but the key difference is that they still show up. They still put in the work. They still train. They still write. They still make the calls, even when no one's applauding, even when no one is watching. They don't rely on fleeting bursts of excitement. Instead, they understand a simple yet powerful truth. Repetition leads to results. When you start your journey toward success, your efforts might feel insignificant at first. You may not see any immediate changes, but imagine it like a snowball rolling down a hill. At first it's tiny, but with every push it grows, and consistency is that push. It's the momentum that keeps you moving forward, even when it feels like nothing's happening. You might do the right thing today and see no immediate results. But if you keep doing the right thing, tomorrow and the day after and the week after that, you will wake up one day and realize that you've changed. You're no longer the person you were yesterday. And this change happens not through dramatic, overnight transformations, but through the steady accumulation of small, consistent actions. That's the power of consistency. It doesn't require loud, flashy results. It's about steady progress. And this kind of progress, built over time, will ultimately take you farther than temporary enthusiasm ever could. So, as we move forward on this journey together, remember this key principle. Consistency, not motivation, is what will carry you to the finish line.
Before we continue, I want to mention that this Napoleon Hill message is brought to you by this channel, Napoleon Hill Blueprints. If you're finding value here, we'd greatly appreciate it if you'd take a moment to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bell so you're notified when we upload tomorrow's new message.
There was a time when I thought inspiration was the key to keeping me moving forward. I believed that as long as I was inspired, I could keep going, no matter what. Inspiration felt like a surge of energy that pushed me to take action. But over time, I came to realize that inspiration is much like the wind. It blows in quickly, giving you a burst of energy and motivation, but it leaves just as fast, often when you need it most. It's unpredictable, fleeting, and unreliable. You can't build something lasting on something so transient. You can't build a house on the wind, but you can build a life on consistent, steady actions. Success isn't about waiting for inspiration to strike. It's about showing up every day, doing the work, even when you don't feel like it. Success is rooted in consistency, the kind that doesn't rely on how you feel at any given moment, but instead on your commitment to your long-term goals, no matter what. Think about the way most people start their journey toward any big goal. They begin with a rush of excitement, fueled by new plans, new ideas, and the thrill of starting something fresh. They write down their goals. They declare, "I'm going to change my life." They feel a surge of energy as they get started, convinced that this time they will follow through. But then, a few days later, life pushes back. Things don't go according to plan. There's a cold morning when you don't feel like getting out of bed, a stressful meeting that saps your energy, a rejection that shakes your confidence. And suddenly, that initial excitement fades away, and the momentum you had starts to stall. It's easy to put things off, to procrastinate, to postpone the hard work until tomorrow. I'm not telling you this to criticize or judge you. I've been there too. We've all experienced that feeling of excitement at the beginning, only to have it fade when life gets in the way. What I'm saying is this: it's okay to falter. It's okay to miss a day, or even to feel discouraged. But the key is not to let that defeat you. It's important to forgive yourself and start again. The truth is, consistency doesn't rely on how you feel. It relies on your commitment. It's not about waiting until you feel motivated or inspired. It's about showing up for yourself, regardless of how you feel, and doing what needs to be done. This is where the true foundation of success lies: consistency. Consistency isn't flashy. It doesn't come with instant results, and it's not always glamorous. It's about showing up every day, taking small steps forward, even when no one is cheering you on, even when you don't see immediate results. And that's where many people go wrong. They expect big rewards for small efforts. They expect motivation to carry them through. But that's not how lasting success works. Think about the truly successful people you admire: athletes, musicians, entrepreneurs, anyone who has achieved something significant. Do you think they wake up every morning full of passion and excitement? Do they always feel like pushing forward, even when things get tough? Of course not. They have bad days, just like everyone else. They experience doubt, fatigue, frustration, and failure. But the difference is that they still show up. They still put in the work, even when it feels hard or when the excitement has worn off. They don't wait for inspiration to come. They've learned that inspiration is fleeting, and they've made consistency their foundation. They train, write, create, make calls, and take action every day whether they feel like it or not. They've learned that success isn't about waiting for the perfect moment or waiting for the motivation to arrive. It's about doing the work, day in and day out. And it's in this consistency that results are created. At first, your efforts might seem small and unnoticed. You might write a few sentences or make one small change, and it feels like nothing has really changed. But over time, those small actions add up. Imagine a snowball rolling down a hill. At the start, it's just a tiny ball of snow, but as it keeps rolling, it gathers more snow, it gets bigger, and it gains momentum. That's what consistency does. It builds momentum over time. It may not feel like you're making big strides, but every time you take action, you're adding to that momentum. The problem is that many people give up too soon. They expect quick results, and when they don't see them right away, they stop. But consistency isn't about dramatic, overnight change. It's about gradual, steady growth. It's about doing the right things day after day, even when you don't see immediate results. One day, you'll wake up and realize you're not the person you were yesterday. You've changed not in a flashy, dramatic way, but in a quiet, sustainable way that lasts. So, what's the lesson here? Don't wait for inspiration. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for everything to align before you take action. Instead, commit to showing up every day, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. Make consistency your foundation. Make it the thing that drives you, even on the days when the wind of inspiration isn't blowing. Because when you show up consistently, no matter what, you will eventually see results. You don't have to be motivated every day. You just have to be consistent. If you can do that, the results will follow. And one day, when you look back on your journey, you'll see that it was your consistency that made the difference. That's what truly drives lasting success. One of the most important aspects of success is the ability to train your mindset. It's easy to fall into the trap of letting excuses take control, especially when things aren't going as planned. Life is unpredictable, and when things get tough, your brain will instinctively start looking for ways to escape the discomfort. You'll find yourself justifying why today isn't the right day to work toward your goals. Maybe it's because you're tired, or maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. You might convince yourself that tomorrow will be a better day to start. But here's the hard truth. Tomorrow never comes. You'll keep pushing things off, waiting for the right moment. But that moment never materializes. Every time you allow excuses to dictate your actions, you're losing trust in yourself. And when you don't trust yourself, it becomes much harder to stay committed and push forward. The key to overcoming excuses is simple, but it's not easy. You must reach a point where your commitment to your goals is so strong that excuses no longer hold any power over you. You need to train yourself to recognize when your brain is trying to make up reasons for why you can't or shouldn't do something. In those moments, you have to reject the excuses and take action anyway. It's not about waiting for the perfect circumstances or the perfect feeling. It's about being so dedicated to your goals that you do the work regardless of how you feel in any given moment. This is where true mental strength is built. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you told yourself that you would start working on something tomorrow or next week? We all do it. It's easy to put things off, especially when we don't feel like it. But that's where the problem lies. Each time you put something off, you chip away at your self-trust. You tell yourself that you don't have what it takes to follow through, and over time, that belief becomes ingrained. The more you let yourself make excuses, the more you reinforce the idea that you can't be trusted to keep your word. Here's the thing, the path to success is not a straight line. It's not about perfection, it's about perseverance. You won't always feel motivated. There will be days when you're tired, when you don't feel like working, or when things just aren't going your way. But that's where your commitment to consistency becomes crucial. You have to get to a point where your actions are not dependent on how you feel. You need to develop the mental discipline to push through when you'd rather quit. When you begin to stop giving in to excuses, you start building something stronger than just willpower. You build your character. It's like training for a marathon. At first, it's tough. You don't feel like running, and your body protests. But over time, with each step you take, you become stronger. Your muscles adapt, and your endurance improves. The same is true for your mental toughness. The more you push through the excuses and take action, the stronger your mindset becomes. What happens when you consistently push through those moments of resistance is that you begin to develop a mental toughness that will carry you through all the hard times ahead. You build resilience. It's not about never feeling tired or never experiencing frustration. It's about learning how to move forward, even when you feel those things. You begin to create a new identity for yourself, a person who doesn't make excuses, a person who follows through, no matter the circumstances. But here's the thing, building that kind of mental toughness doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and it takes practice. You have to actively train your mindset every day. The more you practice pushing through the excuses, the easier it gets. Eventually, you'll reach a point where excuses no longer even make sense to you. You'll realize that every time you give in to an excuse, you're only holding yourself back. And when you see the cost of that, you'll become more committed than ever to not letting excuses control you. It's important to recognize that the ability to overcome excuses and push through discomfort is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't. Success isn't reserved for the most talented or the most gifted. It's available to anyone who is willing to put in the work, even when it's hard. It's about developing the discipline to keep going, even when the motivation isn't there. It's about showing up every day and doing what needs to be done, regardless of the circumstances. If you really want to succeed, you have to stop waiting for the right moment. The right moment is now. The more you wait, the more opportunities you miss. And the more you miss those opportunities, the harder it becomes to trust yourself and stay committed. Each time you take action, even when it's difficult, you're building the trust you need to keep going. You're proving to yourself that you are capable, that you can follow through, and that you can achieve what you set out to do. So, the next time you feel like making an excuse, ask yourself this: What am I losing by not taking action? What's the cost of waiting for tomorrow? And most importantly, what's the cost of giving in to the excuses that have been holding me back for so long? The moment you realize that the cost of making excuses is greater than the discomfort of taking action, you'll be able to break free from that cycle. You'll start building the mindset of someone who doesn't wait for things to be easy. You'll start building the mindset of someone who succeeds because they've learned to keep going, even when it's hard. Success isn't about never facing resistance, it's about learning how to push through it. It's about getting to a place where your commitment to your goals is so strong that nothing can stop you. The key is simple. Train your mindset to overcome excuses and build the mental toughness to keep going, no matter what. One of the most significant things you can do for your personal growth is to start acting consistently. When you do so, you begin to create a new kind of trust in yourself. Every time you choose action over inaction, when you push through laziness or procrastination, and when you keep a promise you've made to yourself, you are quietly, but powerfully, telling yourself, I can rely on me. This trust in yourself is more important than any external source of validation or encouragement, because when you trust yourself, everything shifts. You no longer need others to motivate you or cheer you on. You stop waiting for the perfect mood or for inspiration to strike. You take action because you know that you can rely on yourself, no matter what. You become the driving force in your own life. Look at the successful people you admire, whether they're athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, or anyone who has achieved something remarkable. Do you believe that they wake up every single day with an abundance of passion and excitement? The truth is, no, they don't. They have bad days, just like everyone else. There are mornings when they're tired, frustrated, or feeling uninspired. But here's the key difference. They still show up. They still put in the work. They still train, write, create, and make the calls, even when no one's watching and no one is applauding them. What sets them apart is that they understand one powerful principle. Repetition creates results. They know that even if they don't feel motivated, they must act, because they've built trust in themselves by showing up every day, even when it's hard, and this trust allows them to stay consistent, even when the journey is difficult, even when the results aren't immediately visible. Repetition, day in and day out, is what leads to long-term success. It's the key that unlocks results. Now, when you're starting out, your efforts may feel small and insignificant. You might feel like no one notices, or like nothing is changing. That's normal, and it's part of the process. Think of it like a snowball rolling down a mountain. At first it's tiny, but with each push it gets bigger and bigger. This is what consistency does. It builds momentum. It might not seem like much in the beginning, but with every effort, you're making progress. And over time, that small snowball of effort will grow into something much larger. The key to consistency is understanding that it's not about dramatic, immediate results. It's about showing up day after day, doing the work even when it feels like it's not making a difference. It's easy to become discouraged when you don't see immediate change, but remember that the power lies in repetition, in showing up consistently, even when the world around you isn't acknowledging it. The results come slowly, but they are always building in the background. There will come a day when you wake up and realize that you're no longer the person you were before. You'll have changed not in a loud, dramatic way, but in a quiet, sustainable manner. The shift will have happened in the way you view yourself, in the way you approach your goals, and in the way you trust your ability to follow through. You won't have to force yourself to take action anymore. You'll be doing it automatically because you've built a solid foundation of trust in yourself through consistent actions. This kind of change is powerful because it's lasting. It doesn't rely on fleeting bursts of motivation or inspiration. Instead, it is built on a foundation of self-trust and commitment. When you consistently follow through on your promises, you prove to yourself that you can rely on yourself. And once you trust yourself, you stop waiting for the ideal conditions or the perfect mood. You start showing up for your goals, regardless of how you feel. You begin to shift from someone who is dependent on external motivation and circumstances to someone who takes ownership of their actions. This shift is what allows you to continue working toward your goals, even when the road gets tough. Success doesn't come from never facing challenges. It comes from having the determination and the mental toughness to keep going despite them. When you trust yourself, you begin to understand that the path to success is a marathon, not a sprint. There will be times when you feel tired, frustrated, or discouraged. But when you have built a foundation of self-trust, you don't need to be pushed by external factors. You don't need to wait for inspiration. You act because you know that consistency is the key to long-term success. The more you commit to showing up, even on the tough days, the more you reinforce the trust you have in yourself. And as that trust grows, you start to realize that you are capable of achieving what you set out to do. You don't need to rely on other people to tell you that you're doing well. You know it because you can see the results of your consistent actions. You can feel the difference in your own life, and that's enough to keep you going. So, as you move forward in your journey, remember this. Trust in yourself is not something that happens overnight. It's built through consistent action. Every time you show up, every time you keep a promise, every time you push past resistance, you build that trust. And once you've built that trust in yourself, you'll find that success comes naturally. You won't have to chase it. It will follow you, because consistency and self-trust are the true foundations of all lasting success. You are your own greatest asset, and when you trust yourself, nothing will stand in your way. Procrastination is often misunderstood as simple laziness. It's easy to think that when we put things off, it's because we're just being lazy. But in reality, procrastination is much deeper than that. It's actually a defense mechanism that our brains create in response to fear, uncertainty, or feeling overwhelmed. It's your brain's way of protecting you from discomfort, even though it's not helping you move forward in the long run. At its core, procrastination is about avoiding discomfort, whether it's fear of failure, anxiety about the size of a task, or even just not knowing where to start. Your brain, in its attempt to keep you safe, convinces you that you need more time to prepare or that you're not ready to take action yet. But here's the problem. The longer you avoid taking action, the longer you stay stuck in the same place, making no progress. And here's the truth. You don't need more time. You need to start now with what you already have. On top of procrastination, there's another insidious enemy, perfectionism. Perfectionism often wears a mask of nobility. It sounds like a good thing, wanting to do your best, striving for excellence. But more often than not, perfectionism is just a fancy form of procrastination. It convinces you that you can't start or finish something unless it's going to be perfect. You think that you need everything to be just right before you act, but this kind of thinking keeps you in an endless loop of hesitation and delay. Both procrastination and perfectionism are silent thieves. They steal your time, your energy, and ultimately, your confidence. When you constantly put things off or wait for the perfect moment, you lose trust in yourself. You begin to doubt your ability to take action, to make progress, and to achieve your goals. But the truth is, procrastination doesn't scream at you. It doesn't create a loud, dramatic scene. It sneaks into your mind quietly, planting small doubts and excuses, and it keeps you in a state of, I'll start tomorrow or I'll do it later. But here's the problem with that mindset. Tomorrow never comes. That someday you keep waiting for is always in the future, never in the present. The key to overcoming procrastination and perfectionism is to stop waiting for the perfect time or the perfect conditions. Waiting for motivation or inspiration to strike will only keep you stuck. The reality is, motivation doesn't come before action, it follows it. The more you wait for inspiration to show up, the more you're delaying the very thing that could get you moving, action. Motivation is a byproduct of action. The moment you start doing, no matter how small the task, you generate momentum. Now, the trick is to start small. When something feels overwhelming or too difficult to handle, your brain will naturally resist. It will look for any excuse to avoid the discomfort. You might find yourself scrolling through your phone, watching endless short videos, snacking, or jumping into easier tasks to avoid the harder ones. This isn't because you lack discipline, it's because your brain is trying to escape the resistance. It's trying to protect you from that uncomfortable feeling. But once you recognize this pattern, you can begin to counter it. One effective strategy to break through resistance is to focus on starting with just 5 minutes. Instead of thinking about the entire task, which can feel overwhelming, commit to doing it for just 5 minutes. Tell yourself, I'll work on this for 5 minutes, and then I can stop if I want to. Most of the time, once you get started, you'll realize that the task isn't as bad as you thought, and you'll continue beyond those 5 minutes. The trick is to lower the barrier to entry. Instead of focusing on the big picture or trying to do everything all at once, just commit to getting started. That first step is often the hardest, but once you take it, momentum builds. You don't need to do everything perfectly. You just need to start. And once you start, you'll find that it's easier to keep going. You may be surprised to find that once you begin, the task becomes easier than you expected. Your brain, which was once trying to avoid discomfort, will start to see progress. And as you keep going, the resistance starts to fade away. It's the simple act of getting started that creates the momentum you need to push forward. The important lesson here is to stop waiting for the right moment or for inspiration to appear. Stop letting procrastination and perfectionism control your actions. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. The key is to begin, even if it's in small steps. Every little action you take is progress, and that progress fuels more action. So, when you feel the urge to procrastinate or to wait for everything to be perfect, remind yourself that the only way to move forward is to take action. Don't focus on the size of the task or the perfect execution. Just take one step, even if it's a tiny one, and then keep going. The results will follow. In the end, the biggest difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not how talented or motivated they are. It's about their ability to take consistent action, even when it's difficult. Don't let procrastination or perfectionism hold you back. Start today, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Action, no matter how small, is the key to breaking free from the cycle of delay and moving forward toward your goals. When it comes to achieving long-term success, one of the most powerful concepts to grasp is the idea of small, consistent actions. In the beginning, it might feel like nothing is changing, and it's easy to become discouraged. But what you might not see in the short term is that every small step you take is building a foundation for something much bigger. Much like a snowball rolling down a hill, at first, it may seem like the progress is minimal. But with every push, that snowball gains size, and before you know it, it becomes a force of nature. Consistency works the same way. At the start, it may seem like you're barely moving the needle, and it's easy to question whether your efforts are worth it. You might feel as though you're not getting anywhere, and that nothing is changing. But if you commit to doing just a little bit each day, you'll soon realize that even small actions, repeated over time, add up to something much greater. It's the small actions that make the biggest difference in the long run. One small task completed today, even if it feels insignificant, leads to another tomorrow, and another the next day. Over time, you'll begin to see that these little actions are building something significant, something much larger than you initially realized. Think of it like planting a seed. At first, you don't see any change. The ground is still, and nothing seems to be happening. But you continue to water it, to tend to it, and slowly but surely, it begins to sprout. The same principle applies to your goals. At first, your efforts may seem like small drops in a vast ocean, but with consistent effort, they begin to add up, and before you know it, you've created something substantial. The key here is that these small, consistent actions are what lead to real change. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that you need a big breakthrough, that success requires dramatic, life-changing moments. But real, lasting success doesn't happen overnight. It's built through consistency and persistence. When you focus on doing just a little bit each day, whether that's writing a page, exercising for 10 minutes, or making one phone call, you are gradually shaping your future, step by step. At first, it may seem like you're not getting anywhere, but trust that each effort is making a difference. Even when it feels like nothing is changing, each small action is contributing to your growth. Over time, The cumulative effect of these small actions is what leads to success. But it's not just about the tasks themselves. It's about the mindset shift that occurs when you commit to showing up every day, no matter how small the task may seem. The beauty of small actions is that they build momentum. The more you commit to taking action, the easier it becomes to keep going. At first, you might struggle with procrastination, with doubts about whether your efforts are worth it. But as you push through and continue taking small steps, you begin to build a rhythm, and that rhythm creates momentum. You start to see that these small actions aren't just meaningless tasks, they're part of the process that will ultimately lead to your success. What's important to understand is that success isn't just about the big wins or the dramatic changes. It's about the quiet, consistent work that you do behind the scenes. It's about showing up every day, doing the work, even when it feels like you're not making progress. You have to trust that over time, the small actions you take will accumulate and eventually create the success you're working toward. It's also important to realize that this process of transformation is quiet. You won't see dramatic changes overnight, and that's okay. It's easy to get discouraged when you don't see immediate results, but the most lasting transformations happen slowly, over time. When you keep working on your goals consistently, one small action at a time, you'll wake up one day and realize that you are no longer the person you were yesterday. You've changed. Not in a big flashy way, but in a quiet, sustainable way that will last. The secret to long-term success isn't in taking giant leaps, it's in the small steps that you take every day, even when no one is watching. It's in the habits you build, the discipline you create, and the commitment you make to show up every day, no matter how small the task. Success doesn't come from grand gestures or bursts of motivation. It comes from the consistent actions that you take, day in and day out. Here's the thing. Most people quit because they don't see immediate results. They expect big changes right away, and when they don't get them, they get discouraged and give up. But those who succeed are the ones who understand that real change takes time. They keep going, even when the progress is slow. They trust that every small effort they put in is getting them closer to their goal, even if they can't see it yet. In fact, the most successful people are often the ones who take the smallest actions, but do them consistently over a long period of time. They don't wait for motivation to strike. They just keep showing up. They take one small action, then another and another. Over time, those small actions add up to something incredible. So, if you're feeling frustrated because you're not seeing immediate results, take a step back and remember the power of small actions. Keep showing up every day. Do something small, even if it's just a tiny step forward. Trust that these small efforts are building the foundation for something bigger. One day, you'll look back and realize that all of those small actions led to a transformation you never thought was possible. Remember, success isn't about big leaps, it's about steady, consistent progress. Each small step you take is a building block for your future. Keep going, and one day you'll look at how far you've come and realize that the quiet, consistent effort you put in every day was what made all the difference. There's a hidden force that shows up whenever you try to pursue something meaningful, and it often does so without warning. It's an unseen energy that arises in the background, always there, but hard to recognize at first. I call this force resistance. Resistance is not a one-time event. It's a constant presence that reappears every time you make progress or attempt to take steps towards something important. It's a persistent, sneaky force that can take many forms: fear, doubt, self-sabotage, procrastination. These are just a few ways resistance shows up, and it does so with remarkable subtlety. The tricky part about resistance is that it doesn't announce itself with a loud declaration. It doesn't come knocking at your door with flashing lights. Instead, it slowly creeps in. It whispers in your ear, convincing you to delay, to wait for a better time, or to put things off for tomorrow. It tries to tell you that you're not ready, or that you need more time to prepare. It convinces you that you're not good enough yet, or that the task is too big for you to handle. But here's the truth. Resistance will never fully go away. It's always going to show up in some form when you start making progress. The more meaningful the goal, the stronger resistance will be. It's just part of the process. The key isn't to try to eliminate resistance or hope that it won't appear. It's not about wishing that the challenges will go away. The key to overcoming resistance is learning how to move through it, to recognize it when it appears, and to keep pushing forward, regardless of the discomfort it brings. The first step in defeating resistance is making your goals as clear and simple as possible. The clearer your goal is, the less room resistance has to operate. When your goals are vague or unclear, resistance can easily sneak in and create confusion. You'll find yourself second-guessing your actions, wondering if you're doing the right thing or if you should be focusing on something else. Resistance thrives in that gray area, where things are unclear and the path forward is uncertain. On the other hand, when you make your goals specific, you create a clear target to aim for. Instead of thinking, "I need to write a chapter today," break it down to something concrete. "I will write 500 words between 8 and 9 a.m. The more specific you can make your goals, the less room there is for resistance to distract you. By narrowing your focus to smaller, manageable tasks, resistance has less opportunity to gain ground. Making your goals specific also helps you to gain clarity on exactly what needs to be done. When the objective is clear and measurable, it's easier to take action. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the thought of writing an entire chapter or completing a large project, you can break it down into smaller, more approachable tasks. This approach allows you to focus on one step at a time, making progress without feeling paralyzed by the enormity of the task at hand. Another important aspect of overcoming resistance is building awareness of when it appears. Resistance doesn't always show up in obvious ways. It often appears as the voice in your head that says, "You can't do this," or "You're not ready yet." It can manifest as the urge to check your phone, scroll social media, or engage in other distractions. Resistance convinces you that you need to do something else before you start working on your goal. It tells you that you need to feel inspired, or that you need to wait until the right moment. But the truth is, there is never a perfect moment to start. The key is to start anyway. Resistance will try to convince you that you need more preparation, more time, or more motivation before you can act. But you must learn to recognize these excuses and move forward anyway. The longer you wait for the perfect conditions, the longer resistance will have control over you. Instead, make a commitment to start now, even if the conditions aren't ideal. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to push through resistance. As you get better at recognizing resistance, you'll begin to notice that it's less about fighting it and more about accepting it as a natural part of the process. Resistance is always going to be there, trying to get in your way. The important thing is not to resist it, but to push through it. When you accept resistance as a normal part of the journey, it loses its power. You stop letting it stop you. One of the best ways to overcome resistance is by creating a routine or system that minimizes the chances of resistance gaining control. When you set up a routine, you eliminate the need to make decisions about whether or not to take action. The decision is already made for you. If you commit to writing 500 words every morning from 8 to 9 a.m., you don't have to wonder whether or not you feel like doing it. It's part of your routine. It becomes automatic, and resistance has less influence over your actions. The more you practice consistency, the more resistance loses its grip on you. Every time you take action, despite the resistance, you build mental resilience. You prove to yourself that you can move through the discomfort, that you can keep going even when the urge to quit is strong. And with every step you take, resistance becomes weaker. In conclusion, resistance is an inevitable part of the journey toward achieving meaningful goals. It will always show up, especially when you're on the verge of making progress. But by learning how to recognize it, make your goals clear and specific, and take action anyway, you can overcome resistance and keep moving forward. The key is not to fight it, but to push through it, knowing that every step you take is getting you closer to your goal. The more you practice this, the stronger you become at overcoming resistance, and the closer you get to the success you're working toward. When it comes to building consistency, the most powerful thing you can do is create a system. Systems are like the safety net that catches you when your motivation falters or when your emotions try to derail your progress. The reality is that you can't rely solely on willpower or your mood to stay on track. There will be days when you don't feel motivated, and your energy might not align with your goals. In those moments, what you need isn't more motivation, it's a system that takes the decision-making out of the equation. A system is essential for success because it helps you stay consistent, regardless of how you feel. Without a system, even the best intentions can fall apart. You might start off strong, but eventually the unpredictability of life will cause you to stumble. That's why a solid, reliable system is critical. It ensures that you continue to make progress even when motivation wanes. Systems create structure and discipline in your life, making it easier to stay committed to your goals day after day. The key to building a system is to start small and focus on one habit at a time. It's tempting to take on multiple goals or change several aspects of your life at once, but that approach often leads to burnout. Instead, choose one habit and focus all your energy on making it automatic. For instance, if you want to read more, don't set an unrealistic goal like, "I'm going to read for an hour every day." That's too big and can easily become overwhelming. Start by committing to reading just one page a day. One page is easy enough to accomplish, and it sets the stage for bigger accomplishments. Once you've built the habit of reading one page every day, it becomes easier to increase the time or the number of pages. The power of small, manageable actions is that they don't require willpower. If you start with something simple, you'll make it a habit much more easily. This small commitment doesn't feel like a burden, so you're more likely to stick with it. Over time, as you continue to perform that one small action, you'll notice that it becomes a natural part of your routine. The more automatic it becomes, the less energy you'll have to expend to make it happen. This concept applies to any goal. Whether you want to exercise more, write daily, eat healthier, or build any other habit, the process is the same. Start small and make it so easy that you can't fail. One push-up, one paragraph, one healthy meal. These small actions don't seem like much on their own, but over time, they create lasting change. But systems aren't just about simplicity, they also need to be foolproof. Life is unpredictable, and obstacles will inevitably arise. If you're going to build a system that supports your consistency, it needs to be flexible enough to handle setbacks. For example, if your goal is to run every morning, but the weather is unpredictable, you need a backup plan. Instead of letting the weather derail your progress, make sure you have an indoor alternative ready to go. This could be a home workout, yoga, or bodyweight exercises. By having a backup plan, you're ensuring that no matter what happens, you'll still be able to stick to your system and keep moving forward. The more you anticipate and plan for obstacles, the less likely they are to throw you off course. Life will always present challenges, whether it's a busy schedule, unexpected events, or days when you don't feel your best. But a well-thought-out system will allow you to navigate those challenges and stay on track. The goal isn't to avoid obstacles entirely, but to have strategies in place to overcome them when they arise. In order for a system to work, it needs to be sustainable. If you create a system that's too rigid or unrealistic, it's unlikely to stick. The system you build should be something you can maintain over the long term. Start by establishing small, consistent habits and gradually build on them. Eventually, these habits will become second nature, and you won't need to rely on willpower to stick with them. One of the most powerful benefits of a solid system is that it takes the pressure off your motivation. You don't have to wait until you feel like it to do the work. When a habit is ingrained into your system, it becomes a non-negotiable part of your routine. You don't have to debate with yourself every day about whether or not you'll exercise, eat healthily, or work on your goals. It's just something you do, and the more you do it, the more automatic it becomes. Systems also help you track your progress and identify areas for improvement. By having a clear structure in place, you can assess how well you're doing and adjust as needed. If something isn't working, you can tweak your approach without feeling like you've failed. The key is to stay committed to the system, make small improvements over time, and keep building your habits in a way that feels sustainable and natural. Ultimately, a system is the backbone of consistency. It provides the structure, discipline, and flexibility necessary to maintain your progress, even when life gets in the way. It's not about relying on fleeting motivation or willpower. It's about creating a routine that supports your goals and makes them easier to achieve. By starting small, making your system fail-proof, and focusing on long-term sustainability, you can build a foundation of consistency that will carry you through any challenge. In conclusion, creating a system that works for you is the key to consistency and success. Systems allow you to take consistent action, even when motivation is low or life throws obstacles your way. They help you stay focused, build habits, and make progress every day. By starting small, keeping things simple, and making your system flexible, you can build a routine that will support you on your journey to success. The environment you create for yourself is one of the most powerful influences on your success. It's not just about the physical space you live in, but also the people you surround yourself with and the media you consume. If you truly want to make a lasting change in your life, you have to start by reshaping the context in which you operate. The way you set up your environment can either support or sabotage your progress. Think about your mornings. If you wake up every day in a cluttered room, the first thing your eyes see is chaos. If the first interaction with your phone is notifications and distractions from social media, how can you expect to start your day with focus and intention? Your environment has a huge impact on how you approach your day, and it sets the tone for everything that follows. When your physical environment is cluttered and chaotic, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, distracted, or even stressed before the day has truly begun. On the other hand, if your space is clean, organized, and inspiring, it provides a sense of calm and clarity that allows you to approach your goals with focus. It's not just about cleaning up for the sake of cleanliness, it's about creating a space that fosters productivity, peace, and intentionality. It's not just your physical space that needs to be considered. The people you spend time with have an enormous influence on your mindset and energy levels. Think about the relationships you nurture in your life. Are the people around you encouraging and supportive, or do they bring you down? The people you associate with can either uplift you or drain you, and that dynamic plays a critical role in your ability to stay motivated and focused. If you want to change and grow, it's important to surround yourself with individuals who inspire you, challenge you to be better, and support your goals. These are the people who make your dreams feel more attainable because they believe in you and push you to believe in yourself. They hold you accountable and motivate you when you don't feel like pushing forward. On the other hand, if the people around you are negative, unsupportive, or constantly pulling you in a different direction, it's going to be much harder to stay on track. However, not everyone may be able to provide the kind of support you need in your immediate environment. If that's the case, you have the power to create a virtual environment that uplifts you. In today's digital age, you can curate your surroundings online by choosing what content you consume. The books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the articles, videos, and social media accounts you follow all contribute to your mindset. You can deliberately surround yourself with material that encourages growth, positivity, and inspiration. In fact, intentionally consuming content that aligns with your goals and values is one of the most powerful tools you have for shaping your mindset. The more you expose yourself to information and ideas that inspire and educate, the more you will grow. So, whether it's reading books that expand your knowledge, listening to podcasts that motivate you, or following social media accounts that align with your personal and professional goals, be intentional about curating the content you consume. It's like having a personal development program built right into your daily routine. Now, if you're looking for a practical way to start making changes to your environment, start small. Begin by addressing your physical space. Take a look around your room, your office, or your living space. Is it cluttered? Are there things that distract you or take away from your focus? Start by removing unnecessary items, clearing off surfaces, and organizing your belongings. A clean, organized space can have an immediate impact on your productivity and mental clarity. A great place to start is with your workspace. If you want to be more productive and focused, make sure your workspace is free from distractions. Keep it tidy, with only the essentials you need for the task at hand. By removing clutter and distractions, you allow your mind to focus solely on the work you need to accomplish. A well-organized workspace can instantly help you feel more in control and ready to tackle your tasks. Another simple way to make your environment work for you is to create reminders of your goals in the spaces you occupy. If you want to read more, place books in places where you're likely to see them throughout the day. This could be next to your bed, on your desk, or even in the kitchen. The more you surround yourself with things that align with your goals, the more likely you are to follow through on them. You don't have to rely on willpower alone. By designing your environment to support your goals, you make it easier to stay on track. Ultimately, your environment is a reflection of your mindset and goals. The way you set up your space, the people you spend time with, and the content you expose yourself to all shape your ability to succeed. Start by making small changes, declutter your space, surround yourself with supportive people, and consume content that uplifts and inspires you. Over time, these small changes will lead to a much larger transformation, both in your environment and in your mindset. Creating an environment that supports your goals is not a one-time effort, it's a continuous process. As your goals evolve and grow, your environment should adapt as well. Be intentional about the people, spaces, and content you allow into your life, and watch how your success begins to follow. You have the power to shape your environment in a way that propels you toward your goals, so take charge and make it work for you. In conclusion, your environment plays a crucial role in your ability to succeed. It's not just about where you live, but also about the people you interact with, the content you consume, and how you organize your space. Start small by focusing on cleaning up your physical environment, surrounding yourself with supportive people, and consuming material that inspires and motivates you. Over time, these changes will lead to a significant shift in your mindset, productivity, and overall success. By shaping your environment from the inside out, you can create the foundation for lasting change and growth. Your mindset is one of the most powerful factors in determining your success. How you approach tasks and challenges plays a significant role in whether or not you'll succeed. One thing all successful people share is a growth mindset. They don't believe their abilities are set in stone. Instead, they understand that they can always learn, improve, and evolve. They view every obstacle or setback not as a roadblock, but as a chance to grow and get better. On the other hand, if you have a fixed mindset, you might see failure as a sign that you're not good enough. You might shy away from challenges because you fear you'll fail. But this is the very mindset that holds you back. The reality is that failure isn't something to fear, it's an essential part of growth. The lessons learned from failure are often more valuable than the ones from success. When you fail, instead of giving up, you should see it as an opportunity to learn and improve. Success isn't about being perfect. It's not about avoiding mistakes or always getting things right. True success comes from resilience, the ability to keep going even when things get tough. When challenges arise, do you give up or do you push through? Your ability to persevere in the face of difficulty is a reflection of your mindset. Those who succeed are the ones who refuse to quit, even when the road gets rough. Having a strong mindset also means taking responsibility for your life and your actions. It's about owning your decisions and accepting the outcomes, whether they're positive or negative. People with a fixed mindset often blame external circumstances for their failures, thinking that if only the situation had been different, they would have succeeded. But those with a growth mindset take full responsibility for what happens in their lives. They don't wait for the perfect moment or the ideal conditions to make things happen. They act, no matter what, and they make the best of whatever situation they're in. When you take responsibility for your actions, you stop waiting for things to align perfectly. You stop hoping that everything will fall into place on its own. Instead, you take proactive steps toward your goals, regardless of the circumstances. You understand that success is a result of consistent action, not waiting for the right time. The ability to take responsibility for your actions and learn from them is a critical part of developing a growth mindset. In summary, shaping your mindset is one of the most crucial steps you can take toward achieving your goals. It's about adopting a growth mindset, accepting failure as part of the process, and staying resilient even when things get difficult. It's also about taking full responsibility for your actions and making things happen, rather than waiting for the perfect moment. Your mindset shapes the way you respond to challenges, and ultimately, it's what will determine your success.
That's all for today. If you found value in this message, show your support by hitting the like button, subscribing to this channel, and turning on notifications so you never miss our daily releases. Take action today. Your future self will thank you.